Hello everyone, welcome back, and today we are announcing a very important topic. Does the Magic 30th anniversary violate the reserved list? I've heard YouTube channels on both sides all over the place with good reasons why it violates the reserved list and good reasons why it does not violate the reserved list, and I think the truth is somewhere in the middle with really good reasoning on both sides that they're not actually disagreeing with each other. So let's go over what each side represents and how both can be right at the same time. And before we get into that, I just want to introduce, unless you've been hiding under a rock, you should know about this, but I am going to show my browser window with the announcement. There we go. And the announcement is celebrating the 30th anniversary of Magic the Gathering by re-releasing the limited edition beta set, which was the second set, Alpha Beta Unlimited, right? The beta set there, but doing so with some minor tweaks of removing some cards that were, not culturally acceptable. Some of the artwork, some of the things behind the cards represented, bondage or things like that. People kind of construed it kind of the wrong way, but point being, our Wizards does not feel comfortable re-releasing some of the cards that were had some different artwork and things like that. But besides that, they're releasing almost in full the limited edition beta set, including the all-famous Black Lotus. But it's released in a modern frame, and a few of the frameworks will be in the old vintage framework. It'll have a 30th edition little logo on there, so you know that it comes from this set. But they're reprinting all that with also doubling the printing of the dual lands. What I mean by that is they're making the dual lands twice as common in the printing as regular rares. And they're also including some tokens in there as well. And they're also printing Sol Ring at, I think, both a uncommon and common printing. Sol Ring is being printed in multiple rarity slots. But that's the topic that we're talking about today. And with that release, it's been all up in roar for a couple of reasons, most of which is the price of this product. You can get 4 packs of this, 4 15-card booster packs for the low price of $1,000 US. All right, so a box is $1,000. And then after tax and shipping and things like that, it's going to be, quite a bit above $1,000 for most customers. So it's not a cheap product. It's a premium product. And in that sense, people have been wondering, who is this for? It's not achievable, a price point that the average player can buy it. It's not even really an item for collectors because it doesn't make sense in terms of if you open this as a collector, you're not going to get your money's worth back. The expected value of this is going to be way under the $1,000. The Black Lotus, I'm sure, will be worth way more than $1,000, but it's going to be so rare to get the Black Lotus, and even all the Moxes and the rest of the Power 9, it'll be really rare to get. So this is really just a product for the gamblers. And I want to go over, though, we've covered that in other videos, and I'll probably link some videos about me reviewing how this is, my take on this product and who it's for up above. And also, I open up another gambling product. I'll leave that as a spoiler, but the rest I won't spoil, and kind of go over opening that product and talk about the Magic 30th edition in this video linked up above here. But today's episode is all about, does it break the reserved list? And we're going to go over all those finer points. So in order to touch on the reserved list, we need to first go over what is the official reserved list reprint policy from Wizards. And this was the latest update I could find on it, posted in 2016, so not horribly long ago, although 6 years ago. And it says, I'm not going to read all of it, but it talks about what the reserved list is, so reserved cards. The complete list of reserved cards appears at the end of this document, so there's a list of all of them. And reserved cards will never be printed again in a functionally identical form. A card is considered functionally identical to another card if it has the same card type, subtypes, abilities, mana cost, power, and toughness. No cards will be added to the reserve list in the future. No cards from the Mercadian Masks set and later sets will be reserved, so it ended at the Urza's block. In consideration of past commitments, however, no cards will be removed from this list. The exclusion of any particular card from the reserved list doesn't indicate that there are any plans to reprint that card. Okay, so they explain what functionally identical means, and it means it cannot have the same function, right? All the things that make the card work the exact same way it does. It doesn't mean they can't print a very similar card but more powerful version, or even a less powerful version, or even just functionally similar with a minor tweak of power or toughness or something like that. They can go ahead and go do that. But they should not print the exact same card in the way it is. Reprinting the beta side is reprinting the same card the way it is. So far, we're against the reserve list. But that's not the end of the story. Let's read on down. Non-English cards, it applies to both English and non-English, fine. Virtual cards, it doesn't apply to. Okay, that's fine. Tournament legality, this one sentence part is a big one. All policies described in this document apply only to tournament legal Magic cards. The 30th anniversary is not a tournament legal set. All right? If they made it tournament legal, or if they printed it and said it was tournament legal, it would be a complete clear violation of the reserve list per this line. Okay? And I think they would run into some legal trouble at that point. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how hard it would be to sue them and things like that. But there would be a lot of really upset people who just point to this and say, you completely went against your policy. This line is pretty explicit. You cannot reprint it in a tournament legal fashion. It's not. So they did not break this clause of the reserve list. Premium cards. A previous version of this policy allowed premium versions of the cards to be reserved on the reserved list to be printed. Starting in 2011, no cards on the reserved list will be printed in either premium or non-premium form. Okay, I don't really know what the definition of premium is. In fact, I'm not sure what it was in 2011 that allowed them to create premium versions. I'm thinking that this is like promo, things like that, so they won't reprint promos. Maybe they could before. I don't know. So it's possible. Do you consider a premium this 30th anniversary a premium card? I don't know. I mean, it's an expensive version of the card for sure. Does that make it premium? In terms of like, it's $1,000 to even get a pack. Who knows? Maybe that's why they had to make it a gambling version of like you open up packs to try to get to a card such that it can't be declared a particular value, right? On the second market, it can, secondary, but on the primary market, you're not paying for an explicit card or explicit list of cards. I don't know. But clearly, it's hard to pin down that these are premium versions of the cards, so therefore it violates the reserve list. So I don't think it violates there. And that's really it. We get a list of cards there. So if that's the end of the story, my verdict would be no, it does not violate the reserve list. And I will state as a spoiler, technically, I do not think this violates the reserve list. Now, there are people saying they think it does violate the spirit of the reserve list. I'm among that group. I don't think it actually violates the reserve list. I just want to state that again. But I am among the idea that it does violate the spirit, at least according to the words of a guy a lot of us have trusted on this, the head designer of Magic, Mark Rosewater. He has stated plenty of times that this would be against the spirit of the reserve list. So I'll go into that. I don't have big complaints about this product. I think they did this in the right way, but I am going to go into the reasons why people might consider this a violation of the reserve list. So let's touch into those. All of these are going to be articles from Blogatog, which is Mark Rosewater's Tumblr blog. And the first one is a question from a user. Could Wizards of the Coast print a gold or silver bordered powered cube without violating the reserve list? All right, that's interesting because it would be kind of fun to play a cube of the reserve list old cards, right? So that's what they're looking at. Not if any of the cards were from the reserve list. So they could not print a cube of them. All right, not explicitly stating that this is illegal. They didn't print a cube of it. But let's kind of move down the list here, see what else we could potentially violate. Another user asks, would it violate the spirit of the reserved list to print the original dual lands with a gold border? They wouldn't be tournament legal, but would serve as high-quality proxies for casual commander players. This is pretty much exactly what the 30th anniversary is. That's why I believe they made the dual lands more popular or more common, because Commander players want to get at them. Mark Rosewater, pretty explicit here, that would break the reserved list, either by the letter of the law, and if not, then the spirit. So I think you clearly have, that's exactly what they did. I guess there is a difference. The cards do not technically have a gold border on them. All right, so maybe it's not perfect there. They reprinted it in a black border with the 30th anniversary, but it would break the spirit, if not the letter of the law. And I think that's the case. I think it breaks the spirit, but not the letter of the law. But hold on, we have plenty more comments that prove this more out. Do gold-bordered reprints violate the reserved list? Just straightforward. At normal card size, unfortunately, yes. That's what Mark Rosewater said. So these cards are normal card size. They're not the oversized promos that you can get, which are really cool. And I think they should print some Black Lotuses of like a big size that you can like hang up or put, I could put behind me when I'm streaming. Like that would be sweet. But they can't print at normal card size. So, and they are. So according to Mark Rosewater, that would violate the reserved list. Again, I don't think by letter of the law, but he means the spirit. Another one. I believe that someone asked, essentially, this last night, but I think you misunderstood. Would you ever consider reprinting older reserved list cards in a gold-bordered, non-tournament legal way, similar to a collector's edition? It would be nice for Cube. Rosewater replies, no, I understood the question. We have stated that we are not reprinting the cards from the reserved list on normal-sized paper cards in any form. Excuse me. So this is a normal-sized card. They're reprinting it in another form. So again, against the comments of Rosewater. Now, Rosewater is just an employee, a high-up employee at Wizards. He can't speak for the whole company. Clearly, I'm not putting anything against Rosewater here. He can't make up the decisions for the whole company, right? I would if he pushed for this on his side, which I have no evidence of, and I don't know. I don't think he did. That would be a little frustrating. I think he might have fought this internally a little, given all his comments, but he can't make the final decisions for the whole company, right? So the company decided it's not officially against the reserve list. We can do it. But if for those that were following along and looking at Rosewater's comments, it is against what he said they could do. We have more. Do gold border reprints violate the reserve list? At normal card size, unfortunately, yes. So this is all about the fact that it is playable in a normal deck. So normal card size, printing of any form would be a in-spirit violation of the reserve list, which this is a normal card-sized thing. I still don't understand why gold border, not tournament legal, thus okay by letter of the law, is against the spirit of the reserve list. And yet oversized, also not tournament legal, is not. I feel that both would be primarily used to avoid buying original printings for Commander. Okay? Normal size can be put into a deck, yes, not tournament legally, while oversized cards cannot. That is the key difference. So it's clear as glass here, right? It's about the fact that it could be put into a deck as a proxy, even if not tournament legal, and this is being reprinted as such. Next, if you're making a Cube product, I think a clearly labeled non-legal version of powerful cards that you can't reprint in black border as gold border cards would be nice. Or maybe host something like You Make the Cube on the website and release a product like the Anthology series with some of the results. From the vault, cubes would be a fun one too. We are unwilling to reprint reserve list cards at normal card size, regardless of border or back. So very straightforward, regardless of border or back. The size is what matters. They can't reprint it in any form. And they did. Last one here. Is there an explanation of why gold bordered cards violate the reserve list online somewhere? If there isn't, can you explain why they violate the reserve list? The non-tournament loophole was closed many years ago. So, I don't really know the background of this one, but at the end of the day, he's saying the fact that it's not tournament legal is not something that lets them in spirit print anything on the reserve list. So the one thing that they have going for them in the reprinting of 30th anniversary is that it was not tournament legal. In here, Mark Rosewater is saying that is not enough to say it's not a violation of the reserve list. So I do think Wizards went against the words of an employee, a highly respected one that speaks out to the community, in a series of his posts. And so we were lied to. That said, it does not officially go against the reserved list word by word. I don't think they can get in legal trouble for it. And while I'm upset the fact that they did kind of break their promise to collectors, investors, everybody, the whole Magic community, I'm not really that upset with this product. I think it will bring more people into Magic, and I think it will be an opportunity for people to open up Black Lotuses and Power 9 these days, which you can't really do anymore. Not even in the old cards, because all the packs have been searched, right? The only way that you can open up a Power 9 right now is by spending $100,000 on a starter deck of Alpha, or around $30,000 to $40,000 on a starter deck of Beta, or around $15,000 to $20,000 on a starter deck of Unlimited. Or you can buy the Collector's Edition product, which you're guaranteed to get the Power 9 there. But those are also, proxies, right? But that's the only way you can open them up. And here, you can now start opening up again. And it's done in a way that I don't think will bring down the value of any of those other cards, because it's already at a price point that ultimately kind of makes it higher, more expensive to get those cards, at least the rare ones, than the ones that are on the open market, right? So, like, if you want to actually know you're opening up Power 9, just go and buy Power 9, right? That is the better way to go. It is purely if you want to gamble that you should be buying the 30th anniversary product. Players shouldn't buy it. Now, I do think this helps players, and this is the thing that's not being talked about, right? That whole comment on the dual lands, I agree. Commander, it's a problem. You need some dual lands, and they become prohibitively expensive. I mean, not like the Power 9, right? But they're hundreds of dollars to get the dual lands. I remember I used to have like 50 dual lands. I sold them for $10 a piece way back in the day. This was 25 years ago, but since then, they've been, up until I think it was around like the early 2010s, like 2013 to 2015, they weren't still priced that high, and they skyrocketed. I think that's when Commander jumped off, into being the primary Magic game, right? But now that people are playing so much Commander, they need those old cards, and they can't reprint them because of reserve lists. And I do think this was the best way to give the players those dual lands. You can open up the product and get the dual lands that way. Like, it's much more common than the Power 9. I still don't think it's worth your $1,000. What you should be doing is let the gamblers open it up. They're trying to get the Black Lotus. They're going to sell their dual lands, all right, to make up their losses when they don't open the Black Lotus, and then you'll be able to buy them for cheaper. So I do think it hurts the dual lands. I think it's Power 9. I don't know. And I still think, like, long-term, the dual land collectors are fine, right, on the original stuff. They're going to want tournament legal ones, and that doesn't even matter so much. It's people that collect, they want the original product. They want the things that are 30 years old, that are, have the look and feel of that old product, and the new ones don't. And they're not as special. So, collectors will still always have that. It might tank the dual land market a little bit. Even Power 9 might come down a little bit. But I do think as people open it up on camera, like as on stream, you open them up on the Whatnot apps, on the eBay Live that just went live, right? Like, people are going to open up this Magic 30 product. Yeah, prediction, like, I almost guarantee there's going to be an event on Magic Live, eBay Live and on Whatnot that's going to have a high attendance where people are going to watch the Magic 30th product be opened. This opening, this timing of the 30th anniversary with the technology of having like live auctions happen where the community can watch it is too perfectly timed, and it's going to happen to help Magic out, to get people into the old stuff, to raise demand of the old stuff, supply as well, but it'll raise demand of the old stuff. And Also to gain attraction of Whatnot, the whole Post Malone thing they just had, where they played Commander live on stream, right, with Whatnot, and then eBay Live just launching, I think, as a response to Whatnot. Let's be real, I think that's what that was. But eBay just bought TCG Player, which bought Channel Fireball, right? So now they're the king of the Magic content, really, and they are going to be pushing cards hard, especially with their eBay Vault and things like that. So they are going to use this as the opportunity to you gotta admit, it worked in marketing, right? It brought people, even though a lot of people are conspiring against Wizards now, like, how could you make this $1,000 for 4 packs product? I think you're misplacing it, though. It's not for the players. It is for the people gambling, looking to open it up, looking to watch people open up this product when they can't afford to open it up, right? You're not wrong if you're upset with Wizards, like, and I think 98% of them are. I might be in the 2% that's. I'm not as upset, or for the same reason. I'm not upset that they made this $1,000 product. I'm upset that they went against the spirit of the reserve list, but I definitely hear all of you out there that are upset that they made this product, because I don't think you can be upset with them making the product, actually. Like, what if they made this and they made another cheaper version that players could play, right? Like, just don't buy the expensive one. Like, this is for the people that are going to gamble for the rare versions of things. You'd be perfectly happy if they came out with this and released a version that was a draftable or a cubable version, right, of these cards that were not as premium, but functionally you could get the cards. So I do hear you if you're thinking, okay, this was supposed to be a 30th anniversary of Magic. Everyone should share in that, right? Like, it should be a common celebration of the 30th anniversary and have everyone partake in it. And the only people that can partake in it are those that are willing to gamble, right? And those that can afford to do that kind of gambling. But I do think those people that are complaining about that are missing out on the fact that you are going to get your cheaper dual lands out of this. You are going to get some more accessibility of these versions of the cards regardless. And that is better than what you had before this product, which was no accessibility other than to the Alpha, Beta, Unlimited cards and Revised. So yeah, this will probably hurt, and I'm a big investor in Revised. I have a lot of Revised starter decks. This will probably hurt the Revised does not have the Power 9. Revised does have dual lands, though. And dual lands are going to be, like I said, twice as common as every other rare in this set. So all my Revised starter decks, I do think I haven't seen it yet, but I do think they're going to drop in value. My collector's edition, I had a video going over that. I think I linked to it earlier, but I'll link to it up above again in case you want to see that. And if you've lasted this long to know what that product is that I'm opening, so the suspense is gone. Collector's edition, I do think I have seen the buy list at least drop, but they're such rare products, especially sealed, which is the only collector's edition. I have a few cards, but the sealed product is really where my my collector's edition investment is, right? But I just really like the fact that I have a sealed box of them, both International Collector's Edition and Collector's Edition, because they're so rare. Yeah, I'm the only one that has them available for sale. I do see them, a box each of them up on Card Kingdom, and I see one other person selling a sealed box of it on TCG Player. Now, I'm not the only one that has them. I'm sure people are they have them up and collecting them, and I tend to put my collection up for sale, even though I don't really want to sell them, right? Like, I will for the price I have them up, but I do like hanging on to them as part of the collection, and it's the original, printed 1994. It's the original version of this, right? And I just think you can't. It's 30 years old. You can't beat that. And the fact that nobody knew that $50 set when it was printed MSRP, right, that it would become worth $25,000 a box, and everybody opened them, and when they opened them, they clipped the corners. They were harsh, 90-degree square edge corners, so they clipped them like beta cards, so they could put them into their deck and play with them that way. So they're all butchered, and they only came out with 9,000 of the collector's edition and 5,000 of the international collector's edition, which is nothing in terms of print volume. So I mean, opened? I mean, I don't know what percentage of them are open, but it would have to be, it has to be north of 95%. It's got to be closer to like the 98%. I mean, again, I don't see the sealed ones anywhere, right? So I think it's worth, the prices have gone down a little bit on that now because people are scared. Nobody really knows what's going to happen to that market, right? I think it'll bring up the demand for it after a year or so. I do think the demand will be, because supply is coming out and fear is high, collector's edition will be lower for the next year or so. But over time, this legitimizes, having proxies, right? Fake cards, non-legal cards. And collectors are going to want the rarer versions of those. And the rarest version is what was printed 30 years ago that no one ever thought would be a thing and people butchered because they didn't know, what to do with those cards. And the sealed versions of that, you just can't obtain that anywhere except for a handful of people these days. So I think it'll age well. My revised stuff, I don't think those will age all that well. Although the fact that the reprintings are not tournament legal does help, but my revised boxes will probably go down for quite some time. But players, you're getting a dual lands. You're gonna get to watch some cool openings. It's not the worst thing in the world. Would you rather it not come on out? Just, I know everyone's gotten together, bash Wizards. And I don't blame you for thinking this could have been better. Could have been something else that you wanted more, right? But I think it's better than doing nothing. Anyway, those are my thoughts on it. I think there could be, people can disagree all over the place, and honestly, we're all probably talking different sides of the same thing where we're not actually disagreeing. Just like I can say, this doesn't violate the reserved list, but it does violate the reserved list, the spirit of it. So anyway, hope everyone understands that, different points of view, all different collectors, investors, players, all different sides are looking at this in a different way. And I do think Wizards kind of released this in a way that kind of gives something to everybody, but it didn't go all the way for anybody. I think that's what people are upset with. I'll leave you with that. Remember to like and subscribe. I want to grow this channel more. Thank you for listening, and see you next time. Bye-bye.